the actual tool provided by Microsoft. So here I have the link to to their PowerShell script. So in order for us to run it, there's kind of two steps. So the first one is a payload in LimaCharlie. You have to upload to the LimaCharlie cloud, and I'll show you that. It's really straightforward. The next step is to actually run the payload. That step you can either do manually, or you can do also even via spot check, because spot check has an option where you're saying, target like these hosts, but I'm not looking for a specific IOC. I want you to run this command on these specific hosts. So it's kind of a shortcut to do kind of a scale running of payloads. The payloads that you see down here are other are shell commands provided by Microsoft to look for other indicators of the compromise. So we'll get to those as we go to the second step. So the first thing to do is to go into our demo org and payloads, and we're going to call this copy. So we're going to create payload.ps1. So by default, payloads are interpreted as executable, but if I add an extension to it, LimaCharlie will understand that the extension is significant, and we don't want to execute a PowerShell script. We want to run it, so we'll take care of that. So I'll just create this. It's giving me a URL that I can use to curl to upload it. Oh, we see that our spot check finished, so that's good timing. I have already copied my PowerShell script here, so I will paste this and then change the file name, send it. There we go. So if I come here and I refresh, here we go. We have our script, our payload, I should say. So I'll just copy the name. All right, so now our payload is loaded in the organization, which means we can start running it on any number of endpoints. So specifically what I'll do is I'll do this interactively for now, just to show all the things in LimaCharlie. So I will go in here, and I want to run a payload name, which is this guy, without any arguments. I have not actually run this guy before, but I'm going to assume that it's just going to run and do its thing. So it's really as simple as that. When you issue to run, it'll go and deploy the payload and run the PowerShell. The one thing you probably want to be careful about is if you're running any tools through the payload that has a UI component that's blocking. So for example, sysinternal tools have a EULA. And so you want to be careful about how, if you run that payload and it's waiting for something on the UI, specifically in a UI component, then it'll block and it'll time out. So this is actually what we have here. So we've timed out, and I don't think it's because it's popping something in the UI. It's because we have a default timeout of 30 seconds. So if you run, a payload, you can see you have the option to set a timeout. So when that timeout expires, LimaCharlie will get back to you and tell you, here's what I got so far. It will not kill the process. So that means that, in this case, the Microsoft tool, the script is still running. It'll go, all the way to completion. But this allows you to not necessarily block. So this is, as simple as that, running a script. And what I could have done is, if you want to run it at scale, you would simply do the LimaCharlie spot check, and you can run use -R, and that's where you'll be able to specify commands that you want to run. So you could do that at scale really trivially.